So yeah, thank you everyone. So in today's session, guys, we will go through some detail about Azure Data Factory, right? If some of you not know what is Azure Data Factory, we'll explain that thing. Earlier, you remember that we use Azure Synapse and data warehouse solution, right? Wherein I was talking that I explained that Synapse pipeline and those things. So what are the Synapse pipeline you see there? Synapse pipeline and ADF pipeline are nothing but the same. Okay. The only thing that they in Synapse, what they did, they basically combine to make user experience better. They combine your Synapse pipeline plus data warehouse solution, and they combine that as a one product. But before that, how the thing was, right? People used to use Azure Data Factory plus separate data warehouse solution, okay, in Azure itself. And they try to, they of course authenticate with each other and do their stuff, right? But to get user experience better, they combine all these things into one and propose that as a solution. So when I am saying Synapse pipeline and or ADF pipeline, they are nothing but the same. So I will go through, yes, we in very first session we use the notebook activity, if you guys remember, and then I think we use copy data, REST API, those sort of things in Synapse pipeline, right, in earlier session. So today we will use some other activity from the ADF, so that I think it would be worth to spend some more time on ADF because that's the main tool when it's come to the data engineering and all, at least in Azure. Okay. Now, guys, I will quickly summarize the things that we covered till now, just to uh, so just to give some recap of the things that what we cover, and then we will go to the next part. I will quickly go through. I will share my screen. And meanwhile, when we are going, if any question you have, please feel free to ask. Okay. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone. So the very first, right, what we seen in last week, right? We seen that on-prem versus cloud. I explain you that in on-premise, the thing, how the thing was. First of all, if you need, let's say, some application need to build, right? You need to buy some hardware, right? And then of course software, and build your infrastructure, network, and all these things. So that is not something cost effective, right? The cloud gave us the pay-as-you-go model. Just a second, let me use this marker. So cloud gave us this pay-as-you-go model. So so that was one of the difference. Okay. Yep. I don't know if I move there. Okay. So cloud give us pay-as-you-go model. Pay-as-you-go model. So the moment, let's say, if you need some hardware, right? You go to the cloud provider and get some EC2 instance or anything and build your application on top of that. But earlier it was a not that much cost friendly, right? Then we also talk about the scalability part. Let's say you build your application on premise, right? So you buy some hardware and so other things, right? Now let's say some sales seasons is going on, and you know that your application would, people might hit your application, right? And because of some sales and all, and you would get more traffic. Then if you, of course, you need to scale your application so that you can consume that traffic and all. So in that case, you need to buy some more hardware, right? And once season is over, of course, you still need to bear the cost of it, right? So that was not option over hence in on-premise. You need to buy more software at the time of, let's say, season grow, and then you need to still bear the cost of it. But here it's on demand, right? If you need it, you will use it. Otherwise, it's kind of auto scaling. If you need it, it will use. Otherwise, it won't use. Then the security, right? Here, though you have the full control, but you need expertise around the network and security and all these things, right? Whereas cloud give you some more advanced option for monitoring and all. So that's the things, and maintenance, of course, right? So if Okay, and maintenance, of course, right? So when you are creating your, let's say, own application based on hardware, all the maintenance and all these things is come to you. But in term of cloud, maintain your patching, right? If let's say VM, right? In that VM, you need to, let's say, patch some software, right? Some security vulnerability. Then AWS or Azure or GCP, whatever, right? That cloud provider take care of itself. So that's what we think. We talk, right? And then we also talk about infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as service. What are they? What are they, right? And if let's say if I wanted to build, I give you one of the example. If I wanted to build some database server, right, then how it would go? I will first of all take some VM. On top of that, I apply virtualization, right, and then operating system, and then I will bring the MySQL license and install it. Whereas if I go with the patch-based model, I can directly use any RDS, that is relational database, from the Azure, AWS, and or MS SQL. And this chart also I explain you that, okay, what is the when it's come to infrastructure as service, what are all the things that you take care of, these things, right? And what are all the things that provider take care of? Same for PaaS and same for SaaS. I will quickly go it so that we can have more time there. And then we talk about the public cloud, private cloud, right? And what is hybrid cloud? So what, when we are using AWS, GCP, these are all the public cloud, right? Azure. Private cloud is something that organization manage by themselves. No one can access that. Hybrid cloud or is the cloud wherein organization believe in both cloud. They secure their data in private cloud, company credential data, and they also use public cloud as well. So that's how the people use this different cloud services. Then I talk about the big data evolution, right? How things start from the RDBMS and how we move, then gradually goes toward the cloud, basically Hadoop based system, right? Hadoop era, and then from Hadoop era to our real-time processing and lakehouse architecture. So those we also cover. OLTP and OLAP, right? Online analytics processing and analytic processing and transaction processing. So those things we cover. That OLAP is mostly used for, let's say, if you wanted to analyze data, right? Basically analytical purpose, right? And data is huge in size. Whereas OLTP is a transactional data. Let's say you have some banking transaction, right, or retail transaction. That data would come into your typical RDS server, RDS or MS SQL server. But from all these RDS or MS SQL server, you will move your data to your OLAP platform. That could be anything. That could be Synapse Data Warehouse. We created that one, right? And that could be Redshift or anyone. And then you apply your analytics on top of that. So showed you those things, right? This is how things would happen in industry. You move data from these ideas to centralized data warehouse solution, and then from data warehouse solution you can further. This was the use case we implement, right? I just, for simplicity, I upload some JSON file over here and do transformation and move into data warehouse solution, right? But you can think like it, you can gradually increase this complexity to anything, right? You can connect it to multiple sources, right? Do your analysis and then load into your data warehouse solution. So that's how the things happen, right, in actual. And in last class we build a data lake as well. You remember we connect to API SQL endpoint, and with the help of Synapse, then we load data into the data lake, right? So that's what we implement in Azure Data Lake Gen 2. I told you how to create the Gen 2 and all, and then with the help of Synapse pipeline, we created one of the SQL server, one of the API, and then we process that data and we move that data into the data lake. So that's what another thing we tried in last call. And then at the end, we also I showed you that what is in AWS, right? What is the users? What is the group? What is the role? You can create the role and assign to that specific user, and based on assignment only, that user can access or get access to that particular resource or all, and right. So I gave you the example of S3. I gave one of the user S3 full access, right? First of all, I not give that user any access, and he was not able to say anything. And then when I give the S3 full access, then only he could see the S3 buckets in his account. So that sort of roles and groups, those things I showed you. And groups are nothing but the, let's say, you add multiple user to one group and apply a role to that group. So that's also possible, so that you don't need to apply, give the rule to each and every user. So those sort of things, right? So guys, that was the quick recap of what we did in week 1. Now let's focus on this week. Okay. So I told you, right, we will talk about ADF and all. And earlier till now, we've seen that we mostly deal with the one-time data ingestion. Data is there in source. We just load data into the dedicated pool or our data lake, whatever, right? But typically in this in industry, people use this incremental data ingestion. So what is incremental data ingestion? So let's say on a day one. So let's say today, right? I get some data set from the source end. I would get some data into my storage account or my database, right? So in database, maybe it's like there could be one date field wherein I will see all the today's date data, or in storage account, there might be some system which is pushing data into my storage account, right? So for today's data, now my logic should be, and in this SQL database and storage account, we also have the data for earlier date as well, right? So let's say today is the 5th. So I would be having the data for yesterday as well in my database also, and in the storage account also, I might have some CSV or Excel file for yesterday date. But I need to build my logic in a such way so that I could ingest only today's date data, right? Now, it's not only about date, it further even possible that I need to ingest data hourly wise, right? Currently now it's 8:46, right? If I want that, I will create my ADF pipeline, which will process data before every within that period of 1 hour. So let's say pipeline run at a 9 p.m. for example, right? And it would process all the data between 8 to 9 from either SQL account or the storage account. So that sort of things people generally do in our uh, when it comes to the incremental data ingestion, right? So I will explain you these guys what exactly we are trying to build over here. There is staging layer wherein we ingest data from different sources, that is storage account and SQL server. Then this is the ADF pipeline, right? This is a layer wherein we are processing our data ingestion and data processing. And then there is a, once data got processed, we are loading that data into the our data lake. So that's what we are doing today. Plus there are some other session as well, other things as well. We'll gradually cover those things. So guys, before I start, any question that's something not you understand till now? Before I jump to the current topic, today's topic.
I am good with this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Second. Okay. I just me give a few moment. Just a second. Yeah. Sorry about that. So let me now present my these things. You can see my PowerPoint, right? What is, I will just cover quickly what is this theoretical part, what is ideal data factory and all these things, right? So ADF is guys cloud-based ETL tool. Okay, it help you to it help you to for data integration, right? You can connect to the different data service provider, extract that data, transform it, and move to the sink side. So there is a source, there should be some source and there should be some sinks. You transform data and move data to the sink side. So for that purpose, Microsoft built this Azure Data Factory product, right? And it's a code free, it support both things, right? It's a low code and code based solution basically. right? And what is the key usage of ADF? As I told, right, data ingestion. You can have your data on-prem, on a cloud, or even on a REST API or anywhere, right? As long as we can connect to that place via network, you can connect to that place and ingest your data. So key usage is data ingestion, data orchestration, right? When you have complex pipeline, right? How you wanted to orchestrate your data, right? So ADF tool help us in better orchestration, right? Data move from one hop to another hop, right? You process data and then pass that data to the next layer, right? Then to the next layer. So if someone wanted to see how the flow is going on, so for that it show you a nice orchestration. Transformation, of course, right? It show you no code and code based solution. You transform your data, you filter, remove null values, and all. You do the SQL based operation, group by and joins, right? So that you can generate some insight out of it, right? And data movement, most of the time people want to move data from across the regions or across the cloud, right? Some, let's say someone wanted to move data from AWS to our Azure. So for that purpose also, or even on-prem to the Azure, so for that purpose also people use this data ADF activity. And then what are the pipeline that you are building, right? You wanted to see if my pipeline got fail or pass, right? Since how many hours it's running, right? If it get fail, I should get the alert and all. So all these things also clearly possible in ADF. So now this is quickly introduction about ADF, right? I will not go into more detail of theory part. Now let's go to the portal.azure.com and we can take it from there. Let me share my let me open multiple screen. This one I need. Right. Guys, can you see my portal.azure.com?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's start with creating the our first ADF pipelines, right? So I told you today we will see about a data incremental data ingestion technique, right? So before going to that, have any one of you might have tried ADF earlier, just to know, or
No,
any
sir.
incremental data ingestion, not right? Okay, fine. So let me go to the, this is a Azure Data Factory. If you, once you go to the Azure Data Factory solution, right, you just search for Data Factory, right? It should show you here as a Azure Data Factory. So this is one of the service for data ingestion, transformation, and all these things, right? So let me now create the first data factory for you. I already have one data factory, but we will do things from the scratch, right? So the resource group, right? What I will do, when I'm explaining, there might be few things repetitive, but it's good. It will go to your in better way, right? So that okay, you know that you should know that everything should be in some specific resource group, so that once you delete that resource group, every resource would go away, and that way you can reduce your cost. So I will use the same my resource group. All the resources must be in some resource group. Now let me give this name. I just give this. There is a name of the data factory, right? Region I want US East and version V2, right? It is a data factory version. You don't need to worry about it. Git configuration. Currently, I don't need the integration with the Git, and even I told that I will do git integrate later, but that's more on a DevOps side. So you can ignore, guys. The networking part, right? If- Do I want to make it as a public or private, right? I wanted to make it as a public so that I can use it, right? But there are sometimes requirement that you wanted to make everything in a private network. You need help from the networking team to make that private VNet, right? VNet pairing and all, the private VNet, right? And you can securely access your ADF and all, but that's not in our case. This encryption and all these things I don't need. Tag, let it be for now. But ideally, you should give, let's say, what is tag? Tagging is just for naming purpose. If I wanted to see all resources created with, let's say, this thing. Okay, there is some request. Okay, rather than let's say project. Let's say you guys are running some project, and that name of that project is demo project, right? So if you should have ability to search all. So let's say you create some tag and you wanted to search all the tag with the demo project, so you can see all these things, the resources that you created, right? So only naming purpose, that doesn't matter anything. It's just searching purpose. For once you create a tag, you can search your resources effectively. That's the whole thing. Okay, and now I'll be creating my first data factory. Today, guys, we will also see how to do cross cloud authentication, right? We will try to connect to the AWS S3 and load data from there as well, right? So that's also one of the use case that people prominently use when it comes to data integration, right? They integrate data from different cloud service provider to the single one. Let me go to the resource group. It would take some time to. So I have this Elite data factory. Okay. Okay. You see that this is what the screen would look like when you create the any data factory, right? You would see some home button. Okay, this pencil icon. This is nothing but the wherein you will write your basically design your pipeline, right? There is author symbol, and then monitor. What are all the pipeline that you are building? Of course, you will be running every day, every hour, right? Based on your requirement. I showed you last time how to create a trigger and all right. Based on your trigger, it would run after every 1 hour or whatever frequency, right? You give. So those you can see over here, and then manage. In manage part, you can go and create the link service and all these things, right? Another integration thing. We will link service you can create from here itself, or at the time of when you are creating the pipeline, that time also you can create the link services now. So there are these things. These are the options that we have, and even if you want to create some credential, right, custom managed key, these are some advanced topic, security perspective. So those also thing is possible via this. So for now, just to start with, I will just create some simple pipeline. So our use case is today, guys. Let me show you another tab. What's the data that I have to stage it? Okay, see guys, I have one storage account. We earlier also created some storage account, right? And uploaded some data over here. Basically some CSV file I have uploaded over here. In this is staging reference is my storage account name and data set, right? There is a folder and change. And then I have this data. The customer CSV, right? Day 2, day 3. right? Organization CSV day 2 and day 3 whatever, right? You see here modified date, right? My use case is, I told you, right? I want data which gets staged on that specific day. I wanted to ingest that data, for example. So, so today is 3th, right? Whatever. Today is 3rd, right? So I wanted to ingest only data which is on a 3rd of this month. So, so I have my source ready. Let me create some pipeline. So in pipeline, guys, you would see multiple activity. Okay. Let me just okay. So first of all, I will give you the name of this pipeline as a copy, incrementally copy. I just wanted to give this, right? I wanted to copy incremental this data. Now, if you see here, you see the multiple activity that you have in whenever you create a pipeline, you would see this activity. There are some activity for move and transform. You can copy data, you can create a data flow, right? Plus, there are some activity which talk about the Synapse notebook, right? Earlier, you know that we create a notebook and we write a Python, PySpark based code to process that data. So those sort of things are possible. Then Data Explorer, Azure function, the way we have Lambda, right? Serverless. You write just piece of code and that code would execute as long as, and it's a small data processing thing. Azure function is the best choice, right? Rather than you build your EC2 instance, you create your EC2 instance, deploy your solution on top of that. If your solution just like very simple, which run within a 5 minute, then Azure function is the best thing. It's a serverless solution, right? Then custom batch, right? Databricks. You can even create your Databricks notebook and orchestrate that notebook from here, right? One notebook is calling another one. We will be seeing that in upcoming session, right? How one notebook call another notebook based on pass and success, how it passed the message from one to another one. So we will see those things. So that also possible. Data lake, right? It's a U-SQL when you are writing into data lake. It's a U-SQL. It's another wrapper on top of SQL. It's a basically query language, right? That also is possible. Plus there are some general activity. You need to, let's say, append variable, right? Delete those things, right? Or even execute pipeline. I have one pipeline. I just wanted to execute that pipeline. So those sort of things, fail and other things. There are plenty of those things. Maybe you guys also do some on those things, and I will cover few of the main thing that generally we we need to know about it, right? So set variable, right? If let's say I'm getting some value from any pipeline, I wanted to set that as some value, right? So for that purpose, I use a set variable and all. So these are all the multiple activities are over here. I will not go each and every one. Our intention is to today is to work on copy data activity. Okay. Okay. So in copy data, first of all, right, we have some source, right? Let me create a source data set. So any activity, right? Let's say you wanted to connect to any source. So for that, you need to create some data set. So let me create some data set. So in my, there are, I showed you, right? There are multiple, you can connect it to RDS, Redshift, right? Cross cloud connectivity, that's what we call, right? Plus we can also connect our Azure based things. So we are trying to connect to the Azure Blob Storage. That's nothing but the one that I showed over here. So this data set I wanted to connect to. connect, CSV, continue. Okay. Then I need to create data set, but I need to also authenticate with it, right? So I will create the link service. I don't need this first row as a header at all. I will just create a link service. Account. So link service I am creating, right? And there are multiple authentication type, right? I will be covering so these things, right? What is this? Mainly people use system assign manage identity and user assign manage identity and account key plus service principal. So today we'll go with account key as only. I will also show you, if possible, today or tomorrow, what is the system assign and user assign and manage identity, another thing as well. So today I will go with just account key. What is account key? It's just nothing but when you are trying to authenticate with that particular storage account, you need some credentials, right? Instead of you manage that credential, Azure manage it, and it take care of all the authentication that required to authenticate with that storage account. So ADF to storage account. And then the staging reference is my, so you see the moment you clear the staging reference, it's load the key to authenticate to particular storage account, so that you don't need to specify a key and all these things. So let me do test connection. My connection got successful at the source side. Create. Now guys, let me give the path of my, so there might be some directory, right, wherein I am keep on getting my data every day, let's say. So data set, change, and these are all the files that I have. Okay. And first, I don't need a first row as a header. Other things let it be as it is. Okay. And because guys, I need all the files, right? So I will give, because I don't want just to load a single file. I wanted to load all the file from specific file. So that's why I give this wildcard file in data set. And how my wildcard file path look like? I have data set, right? And then I have changed one directory with the chain name over here. So I will just mention the chain name. Okay. And all the files within that particular data set and change directly I wanted to ingest. But I wanted to ingest based on some condition. If date is today's only, right? So how to do that? I will go to the filter by last modified date. Okay. Now what I will do, so if you go to this section function, right, you would see that add hours, there are multiple parameters, right? Add hours, add time, right? Add date, add days, right? So those things are available. I will just add this expression over here. What this expression is saying, guys, current time minus 12 hour. What are all the files within this range? Just give me those files. So I just add it over here. This is how I will get the incremental data, right? In time, I'm not more interested in. So all the data for today date I need, right? And on a sync side, guys, what I will do, I will create one new Gen 2 account rather than using existing one, just to make things clear for you guys. So I will use a demo as a storage account. Then Okay. So here you need to make sure that you are giving the lowercase only. It will not take anything which is uppercase or in other. Okay. This gen account name is available. I wanted to use this East US only, and primary service I wanted to use as a gen for Gen to data lake. I have to go with the standard tier, right? For the cost security, the cost things, and if you have some production grade and required low latency, the premium tier also possible, but of course it would give more cost. And geo redundant is possible, so that if one geolocation fell down, my storage account still available, right? So that sort of things I will go with. There are other things as well. I explained you those things in earlier call as well, right? What is a local redundant means? Locally means if let's say your storage account would be in that particular basically region, right? If that region get failed, then you might lose your data and all. So those sort of things also there. So I will just, for simplicity, I will just use geo redundant storage. I will go to the next part. Yeah, and only important thing when you are creating storage account, you just need to create the hierarchical namespace enable. That's what. And other thing, guys, I think we are creating this storage account multiple times. So networking, I will enable from all the public places, right? I don't have any data protection for now. Let it be as it is. Encryption key, let Azure manage it. I don't need to manage it. Tags, let it be, and I will just review and create. Now what we'll be doing, we'll be trying to load only data for today's date into my Gen 2 account, so that the next team or next pipeline can process that data based on today's date only. So in industry, you always face these things, right? You will not load entire data. Either you load today's data, or even in some case, if today's data is very huge, you just get that delta for today's, right? Sometime in a source itself, they provide the multiple version of today's data. So you need the latest version of today's data, right? So that maybe in future we will cover CDC part and all, right? So I have this Gen 2 account created. Now at a sync site, guys, I will try to connect to this Gen 2 account. So as I explained, to connect to any data source, be it a SQL storage account, you need to create the data set. I'm creating the data set, and I will use my Gen 2 storage, right? Gen 2. Before that, let me create some folder over here. Data set, so that I will put my file, all the data in this location, and let me create some directory. So whatever the files I have, I will be loading over here. Okay. Guys, you can see my data set, right? This also window you can see. I just need a confirmation. Hello. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir. You are.
Yeah, this data set you can see, right?
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay. I just thought, because I'm shifting between different data set, just thought that it should be clear to you. So I click on a Gen 2, I click on a CSV. Okay. Then let me click on a new link service for authentication, right? Now we need to authenticate to that data set, right? I just click on Azure subscription demo, and then this is the basically Gen 2 account that I have created, right? The moment I create the Gen 2 account, it show click on the Gen 2 account, it load the key, right, for authentication. Let me just test connection. It got successful. Now file path. I will give this data set from my Gen2 account and files, right? I wanted to load my files over here. Rest of the thing, I don't want to first row as a header. Let it be, and just create, let me create this. Okay. Now, guys, see in data set, if we open in another tab, let me show you source part. So in source part, you guys can see, right? We have data set, and these are the multiple file or different date. Now, guys, how we are loading data? So though you are saying day two, day three, I am not loading based on day one, day two, or day three, right? It can be anything. Uh, it can even come with, let's say, any name, random name, right? But still, we will pick based on a modified, right? So what are the modification? This modified, right? So based on this column, what I did over here in my source, you see filter by last modified. So current time, UTC time means current UTC time means current time now minus 12 hour. So this is how based on this column, we are filtering data and loading into our sync side. So let me try to run these guys. Let's see if it goes through or we get some error. Let's see. So copy data is one of the main activity when you are using ADF, right? You will very much use this activity across all. If you are using ADF or Synapse, this is the main activity I would say, because it eventually help you to sync data between source data from multiple end and sync into the destination. So guys, whenever you see how to debug the thing, right? Whenever you see, let's say your activity got complete, right? Because in currently I have only one copy data activity, right? It might be possible in your copy pipeline you can have multiple tasks, right? And some might got failed or some might got passed. So all these things you can see over here. You can just see the status, queue, time, in progress, failed, and all these things, right? And then this is a source, okay? And you should also see the sync side. So it show data return. Data return means something operation happen. How many file it read? Two read. Why it read two file only? Because for third date, I only have the two file, right? This one and this one, right? And file return, two file return. Now let's ensure that by going to our Gen2 account. So our elite, this was our Gen2 account, right? This what was our data lake. Right? You see, I just got data for today's date, not for any other date. So though I have data for day two, day three, I only got data based on this modified column. And where I have applied filter for that is over here. Filter by last modified UTC time, right? So this is how you would get the incremental data, guys. Any question here? Or if I am moving too slow or too fast?
No, sir. We are good at this moment.
Okay. So now this is one of the activity I showed you guys. Let's go to the few other activity. I will publish my pipeline. So you need to ensure your publishing is nothing but it's like your git commit. You commit your code, right? Otherwise, it will if you just refresh, right, and close window, it would go away. So you always need to ensure that you are publishing it, right? Now another use case, guys, right? I will create another pipeline. So This is one. So what happened generally, this is one of the way, right? I told you how to get the latest data. There are other way as well. We will go through. So it's see, it's like if you have one problem, there are multiple way to solve it. I just show you one of the way, but I will show you another way as well. And with the help of that activity, I will show you what are all the things, other things also you can do in your ADF, right? So this is our, okay. Now this is our source side, right? Staging reference is our source. Now let's try to connect again our staging reference. I will name this as a okay. Get metadata activity. I'm giving the name of this pipeline. Okay. So there is one. You can search multiple activity just by typing over here activities. You will get this activity name. Get metadata. What is metadata, guys? Right? This is any data you have some metadata. For example, this is the data that you have, right? You have multiple files, and that file contains some data. You don't need to worry about what the contents is there in those files. It's just organization data. If I just show you, just out of curiosity, if you wanted to see, so it just organization data that I just took from the on-prem, basically cloud, and then load into the storage account, right? So all this data I have, right? This is data, but what is the metadata? It's the data about data. If I talk the what is the metadata for this what is the metadata we are having in this container, right? The file name, right? This is the file name, right? This is also file name. These are all the metadata plus type of file .csv, right? It's fine. Now we only have the CSV, but we can have the JSON, PDF, anything, right? So that dot type also is one of the metadata plus modified by. That's also one of the metadata we have. Then the size of file. Then in particular data, in particular folder, how many files are there? That's also one of the metadata. So based on the metadata, we can take some action, right? Let's say I have some use case, right? I wanted to only move only CSV file, and it's possible that my storage account might have other file as well, right? So that for that case, sort of cases, we use this get metadata activity, right? So I will show you the problem that we solve in the first scenario. We will show how to solve same via some other activity. So I use get metadata activity, right? And then I go to the setting. I, of course, if I wanted to connect to that particular staging reference, our blob storage, I need to create this data set. Account key, subscription, and then this staging reference is my source account. I will just authenticate with it. Connection successful. I am just creating it. Again, I need to give some specific path. So folder location I will be giving, guys, not a file location, because file can be, if I just give any one file name, that then your code would be like a hard coded thing, right? But I want to dynamically capture all the files from this specific location. Ignore this. And let's create a source connection. Fine. Now, if you see, guys, there is an option that is field list, right? This field list. What this field list is? Let me create a new click. Okay. And I would show you. See, these are all the field list we are having, right? The child item, exist item, name, and all. So to get the metadata, because I know I connected to specific folder, I will just wanted to see all the child item that's specific from this specific folder. I just click on the child item, and let me run it in debug mode. Let's see what it show. This got succeeded. If I just see the output, you see I got customer, I got all the file, customer day 2, customer day 3, customer, right? Organization day 2, day 3, and organization CSV, all these things I got. Now I wanted to use some other activity, because from here I just need only specific file, right? So let add some filter over here. So it's possible that you can get all the file, but you just want the specific file, right? So we will do the same thing. We will apply the filter over here. And I will add the same thing, add hours minus 12. So add hour is a function. If you go to the function tab over here, you would see this all the function, date function or other function, right? So add hour is a function and it take UTC now, that is current time minus 12 hours. So I will use it, right? Now I will rerun it. In time, I am not more interested in, because I just need all the data for today's date. Okay, so it got succeeded. Let's see. See, now I just got customer day 3, right? And organization day 3. That's what I needed, right? I don't need all the data. I just need the specific data. So guys, it's like different ways to solve the same problem. But at the same time, I showed you, right? We have multiple option over here. Now it's fine. For our use case was talking about only just to get latest data, right? But what if I wanted to load all the data of specific type, like let's say item type, right? The CSV, right? Or item name. Let's say I wanted to filter based on item name. Okay, if let's say file name contains so and so text, then only process that, right? Exist if file name contain, so item name is very specific to, okay, the specific full name of the file. But if in file contains some name and all, those only I think I need those file to process, right? Last modifier is the thing that so let's say if I go to, if I last modified, right, if here I just click on the child atom, because my data set is pointing to the particular folder, right? But there, let's say I'm talking, if I reference to particular file path, then I can even use this last modified as well. So in our case, we will just go with the simplicity child atom. For all the child atom, I just apply the filter of last modified, and I just filter those things. And now if you see in output, I just got 2 files. Now I wanted to iterate over each of the file and load that file into the sink. So to iterate, I have for each loop, right? And when I wanted to call for each loop on a success of that, this earlier activity. So if you see, apart from on success, there is on failure as well and on completion as well. So, so best way is to run next activity based on success. But let's say if something goes fail, right? Then you need to notify that to people. So you will use then on fail activity. And then of course you will use some mechanism to alert the stakeholder, okay, this activity got failed. So we'll not go into that for now. We will just click on success and for each, right? So what I want to do for each activity, right? I wanted to loop through each and every file and load data into the sinks. So let me click on a for each. Let me go to the settings tab of it. Okay. So in setting items, if you see child items, right? So I wanted to get all the child item from this particular activity. Let's see what are all the options that we have. And then in a for loop, I will do the copy activity action. In a copy, I have the some source. I need to connect to that again, that source, right? That is our Gen2 account, CSV file. Let me create a link service to connect to it. This connection I have created successfully. It would also ask me this location and all. I will just give data set, change. Let me create an, okay, just let me, I don't need this first row as a header. I will uncomment it, uncheck it. Okay. So here now you see we create the source data set, right? And then wildcard file path, right? Just a second, guys. Yep. So in why I choose wildcard file path, because in data set I have location with the chain name, right? And then this file path, file name would come in dynamic way. So just wait. Meanwhile, this get load up. Let me try to get the sync part for this one, or let wait just for some time. So now we are applying for loop, and for each file, I wanted to move that file to the sync site. So I just wanted to show you one. Okay. So yeah, guys, just I wanted to confirm one thing. So in this case, see earlier case, I just click on wildcard file path because I need all the file from specific path. But in earlier case, right? That is when I was doing copy data activity without for loop. But when I am doing copy data activity with the help of for loop, I don't need wildcard file path, right? Because I know that I will be getting name of each and every file. So that's why I will be using file path in dataset. Now, this is our source side. Let me also, okay, let me open this dataset and add a parameter. Let me create some parameter. I will tell file name. Okay. The moment, let's say I create the file name. in connection tab, you see, right? In connection tab, it will show me dataset.filename, because you guys know in dataset and change folder, I have file name, but I wanted to make this file name as a dynamic. That's why i- i- to make that thing dynamic, I create the file name as a parameter over here, and that's what I'm passing here in dataset.filename. Now let me, the moment let's say I create any parameter, it should show me this file name over here, right? Now, and that's why I choose this file name in file path in dataset. Now let me click over here, right? What file name I wanted to give, right? I have item name, right? That is in for loop, I have each item, and then I should have the file name over here. Okay. I don't think it's a file name, it's just a name. Let me confirm. Item.name, yeah. So it's not the file name, it's just, so generally sometimes this pipeline extension builder doesn't give you auto pop-up. So it's a item.name. Just to show you these guys. So when you do, okay, I think our for loop not yet run, so we might not see it, but it's a item.name, not the file name. Now our source side is, we configure our source side. We point to one of the source, we give this dynamic value of item.name, right? And I want all the files in particular data set to be synced into our storage account. So I will be creating now our Gen2 connection, then the CSV as a data set. I will use new link service. Then this subscription demo. And this is a storage account, our Gen2 account, wherein this is the thing where our data lake, where I wanted to load that data, right? Test connection. Okay. Now, before doing that, guys, if I will use the same thing, I think we will, maybe you guys can get confused. So let me create another container. Okay. I will possibly move data into that container. Get metadata. So instead of loading data into dataset, I will be moving data to the get metadata and add directory files. Now let me, sometime what happen if I just do now, it will not recognize. Let me discard these things. Let me create a new link service. It takes some time to reflect the changes. Okay. Our elite account, test connection, create. Let's see if we can see. Now we got this get metadata. I'm just clicking the get metadata. That's why I discard, guys. Otherwise, sometime it not reflect on the fly. Now I connect to the file path, files. I don't want first row as a header and all these things, right? So we connect to our source and sync. And in sync side, I don't have any specific thing to give. So there are multiple things over here in the sync side as well, right? The copy behavior, how you wanted to copy that. It's something that since in our case it's just a simple CSV, we don't want it to apply all this modern technique and all. You can leave it as blank. Concurrent connection, right? By default, it would take best one, but you can clearly, you can obviously modify based on your requirement, right? Then how many block size when you are moving data from one account to another account, if you have a particular case that okay, you wanted to give some block size in term of MB, so those sort of things, right? Metadata and all this, those maybe, and max number of rows for files. What is a extension of file, right? I wanted to give the extension as CSV, so those sort of things, right? So those all you can give based on your requirement. So now, guys, let me try to run and let's see if this our things work. So currently in get metadata, I don't have any files. Ideally, if all things good, then it should show files in our get metadata files section. You see our one of the activity got passed, it got all the metadata, right? Now it got the two files, right, for today's date. And now it's doing for each file, it's doing copy activity. Okay, it shows succeed. The way you should monitor thing, guys, you go instead of just seeing, that's what I would say developer way. Instead of directly going see, you got first metadata and you got two files, right? Which is completely fine because that's what you give the filter for, right? Then for each file, right? Basically for each one, if you see here, you got item.to count, right? Because we got the two files. And then for each one, you are doing copy activity. So copy is, let's say this is a for first copy activity for first file, it load that data into particular location with the data read and write and all these things, right? You can see over here. And then for second also, you see the write data into the storage account. Now, if you go to the data lake, if you just refresh it, you see you got a customer day 3 and organization day 3 data over here. So this is how you will implement the same solution but with a different way. But I showed you that, right? Apart from get in get metadata, we have multiple options, right? Get children and all these things, right? You can even file type and all based on your requirement. You can use that and explore those things. So I will now publish this changes as well. So any question, guys? You are clear, right? You guys able to grasp it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, guys, till now we've seen mostly the things on a storage in a CSV and all, right? What if the data is like SQL database, right? We will now cover that case as well. So data is in, let's say, SQL database, and you wanted to move only today's, let's say not today's, you wanted to apply some filter on, let's say, and you wanted to just only get incremental data from database, not the full data every time. So how we will handle that case now. So you will be having one database server, okay, wherein we'll be having data for different duration, and from that source we wanted to load. We wanted to take only certain data and load that as a CSV or any other file format into our Gen2 account. So that use case we will see now. So for that, first of all, you need to get some SQL server. So let me go. Okay. You can just guys search for SQL database, right? And it would come over here. Since in my case, I can see directly, I will just use SQL. Create a SQL database. So you can see, right? Creating the infrastructure in a cloud is very easy, right? Rather you go to the on-prem based things. Now I wanted to use the same resource group, right? I'm just giving, okay, no, it's a username, right? Let me copy this name for my reference. Just, I will not forget it. User server, right? So now we need to get a server, right? For any database, you first of all need some server. Okay. Luckily, this name is available. And, server demo. Okay, so I have this. I am creating this server. I am using it's a both. I wanted to region would be East US. I wanted to use SQL and intra authentication both option, right? Logged in name. Okay. Let me give just giving any random name. This is my username and then password I will give. Okay, so I give the username password. I create this username. Let me create this server. Okay, it asking me to set admin for any database. You need to create this admin. So I will choose myself as the admin over here. I will select it. I'll just click on OK. Right, and then I wanted to make it, let's say, so server name we have created now. I wanted to make it a development base. I don't want it to production base, right? And then serverless. Uh, For cost effectiveness, using serverless is a better way. It gives you less cost, right? So that's why serverless is it's like your compute and storage are the different one, and based on your usage only, it would charge you. So that's one of the good thing in serverless database. So that's why I choose this one. For cost purpose, I use locally redundant backup storage. I don't want the zone or geo-based things. Clicking on next, right? Connectivity method. I want it to public endpoint enable, right? Yes, and I will just use this firewall rules so that next time I don't need to go and enable some firewall rules over there, right? And then these are all the default thing, right? You can go as it is. Security, I don't want it to enable Microsoft Defender. It's just a security tools that Microsoft provide, right? To scan your database, and if any sensitive insensitive data it found, it would update to you. So I don't have that sort of requirement. So I will just go to additional, let it be as it is, tax, and then you can create. So you see, this is how it would cost you for 1 month, right? And the compute is separate and storage separate. So you see, compute is very less based on your usage, and storage is for 1 month. So I will create this now database. Showing deployment is in progress. It takes some time when it's come to database. So guys, when it's come to database and all, which databases or which cloud services you guys use in your work, if you are working or when you're doing hands-on? Does anyone have created any RDS server or anything like that, or use that already existing one?
No, sir. Then like in our like organization is like plant is planning to move to cloud
Okay,
currently. Yes.
okay. So it's creating the server now. Database server creation takes generally some time. So meanwhile, it load just guys this Microsoft Defender, right? Initially, I told you, right, this when you are doing on-prem, right, you need to make sure that your hardware or even your softwares, right, what you install are up to date and all right. If something vulnerability come, you are responsible for monitoring it, right, and patching it. But with the help of cloud provide you some solutions like Defender for cloud, right? It can scan your data set, and if something found vulnerable, right, even you make enable, let's say public, you make database publicly accessible, it will give alert for you. And that okay, it's fine if we are learning, you are making it public, but in actual thing, you won't want it to make your database as a public, right? So those sort of alert you will get when you use Defender or another thing, right? So meanwhile, our database got ready. Let me go to the database query editor. So you can query your data from the portal itself. You don't need to use any client. I'm trying to log into my database now. Now, what I will do, guys, I have some script. Okay. I will just, the script is nothing but the creation of table and insert statement, nothing fancy. Oh, okay. So what I'm doing, guys, over here, I'm just see, I will just quickly take you through. I'm just creating the simple product table with the primary key, right? Product ID, product name, category, price, and all these things, and sample data inserted I have over here. Okay. Similarly, for sales also, I've created these things, right? Table with the these columns, right? With some constraint with the help of a constraint between product and sales, right? And then in the sales table also, I'm inserting some data. And that it's a simple thing, right? And now I will let me run it. It will it executed and it insert all the data, right? Now, if you see, guys, in my data set, if I just do select star from product, you see I have some data for 24, right? And even sales also, I have some data for 24. Let's say I don't want it to, though it can, of course, you can make it to the date wise as well. But let's say you wanted to data process data for only 25. You don't want the data for 24, right? So how to do that with the help of this ADF and all these things, right? So let me create a new pipeline for that. Okay. Now, first of all, when there are the way get metadata activity is there, right? It help you to know all the, let's say, files, their type, their last modified thing, right? Their size and all. Generally, if you wanted to talk to database, right, and get some metadata, there is another activity, lookup activity. I will tell you how to get some metadata about this, our database, right? So I will go to the settings tab, ignore this first. Here are all the option. Okay. Let's connect to our source data set. Now we create our SQL DB, right? It should be here. We have Azure SQL database, right? Let's connect to that. Let's create the link service to connect to it. Subscription demo. Server name, right? This is what our server name is. Database name is elite user. Okay. Username I have gave over here as a, let me just copy that name, my first user. And this is what the password. So apart from SQL authentication, there are other as well. We'll be covering those things in upcoming sessions, system assign manager identity and user assign manager identity and service principal as well. Okay. So for now, just go with the SQL based authentication. Let's try to test connection. So connection got successful. So basically my source can now connect to my source database, can connect to my database basically. So if you see the moment I click on here, it show the product and sales. I don't want it to give any, if I just select any one of the table, it would be kind of hard coding. I wanted to load all the tables, and how to load all the table, I will tell you. Click on this, okay. Right. Now guys, in lookup part, there is a, you see table, query and store procedure, right? What I want to do, I wanted to write some query. And what that query is, just to show some time, I just written this thing query. In any database, let's say if you wanted to see all the data, all the tables which are available in my database. So let me run it over here to get you a better understanding. So information schema, these are the metadata table, right? Wherein this table keep track on your data within your databases, right? So information schema dot table is the table name wherein you would see all your tables name. If I just run this, you see I got the product and sales. So same query I have put it over here, right? Now guys, let me run it. Okay, let's see what it go give to me. Okay, it succeed and it show me all the these things, right? Basically, I have two table name only in my database, but if you have let's say 100 table, it would give you all the 100 table and you can copy all these 100 table based on some criteria, incremental data ingestion, right? In my case, I just give this 2025, but if you have the use case of, let's say, to process data for today's date, that is also completely possible. Right now, I got this lookup. Now, what I will do, guys, I will just create, just quickly things over here, how the things are. Okay, for loop. So let me click. Now I have, let's say, I got this two count, right? I wanted to do for loop for each of one of the table. Right? And then on success of this one, I will run this for loop. In settings, I will go, I need to give output dot value. Okay, this is what basically what's it doing for each one from the lookup activity. What are the output that I am getting? What is its value, right? That is table name. That's what I'm just taking as a for item, right? So if you see over here, what I'm doing from the first activity, I got this response, count and value. What I wanted to get this array of the value. That's what I put over here. I just give this array over here. I need this entire array, right? Now for each one of the item in array, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do some copy data activity. So now let's go to the copy data inside the activity for each loop. Okay, let's do some copy data. Let's connect to our source data set once again. That is, you guys can maybe thinking that we can use same data set, but I generally prefer to create a separate data set, right? Sometime you have some other, let's say, requirement, and in that case, if you use the same, then it would be problematic sometime. Elite user, right? Username is my, I think my first user, right? And password is, let me click on a test connection. Connection successful. Let me create it. Right? It should show me this table. I wanted to make it dynamic way. I will just create OK. Right? Then I have now guys connect to the source part, right? Now, just wait. So now, guys, I have connected to source part. Now, how basically see copy data I want to do, but how I want to do copy data? Do I want to load entire table? If entire table I want to do, then I can go with the table based option, right? But I want only specific data, right? See, let's say data part 2025. So for that, I need to write some query. So that's why I click on a, in case you have some store procedure, you can click on that one as well, but that's another use case. So I click on this query and I will use, just to save some time, I just have that query ready. I will explain what this query is doing, okay? See, what I'm doing for each item, right? Item dot table name, where here is the function create date equal to 2025. So we know, right? For each item is nothing but the each item that I am getting, right? Basically in for loop, I got a product and see, let's say another table, right? And then I have table name over here. How I got this table name is nothing but, you see table name, because when I am writing this query, I give select the table name. So this is what the table name is. For each item, I need a table name that is select star from this table name, where year equal to year is just nothing but a function. And in each table, we have this create date. If I just show you in our database, see here also I have created function, right? Created as a not function, is a column, right? With this value, and below also I have created as a column with these are these values. So that's what I write in this query. Let me click on OK. Right now at a sync side. So source we got connected on a sync side. I again wanted to connect to my Gen 2, that is data lake. CSV part. basically I wanted to load CSV data, right? And then I will create the link service once again. Subscription I will using my one. Authentication type I will use as account type key, right? And then this is my Gen2 account that I have created. The moment I create it, it show right loading key, right? It it loaded the key, and now if I do the test connection, it should succeed. Connection is successful. Let me click on a create. Again. Okay. Now wait guys. Because otherwise it would be confusing for you guys. Let me create some another data set basically. So till now we have in Gen2 account. Means I can load into same data set, but we wanted to see, okay, nothing is there and how we loaded data from the scratch. So let me create another container, SQL data set. I will create the SQL data set. Then directly I will use files, right? Now, when you are doing some hands-on guys, let me see if I just click here, right? You see, though I have created this SQL dataset, it's not appearing over here. And you might think, okay, why it's not coming, right? So that's how means Azure take time to refresh the things, and hence you need to recreate from thing. You can just discard the things and then start from the cache. You just it's like refresh the table and start from the cache. So Gen2 account, CSV, just click the storage account and the same thing that I was giving. Connection successful, create, right? Then SQL dataset, right? Now it's come SQL dataset and the files. Okay, now let me open it. I don't want this first row as a header. Let it be, right? Now guys, when I'm loading data product CSV, I wanted to give some file name, right? Even if I leave it blank, that would not affect it will, but it will get the file name with some random name. So what I will do, I will just create the file name as a parameter. So if you want to do anything, you need to create a new parameter for let's say you wanted to give some dynamic name and all, you need to create some parameter in this case. So now go to your connection. The moment you go to the connection, it should show you dataset.file name. This was your file name. This is how you can give the dynamic nature to your file name. But what file name you wanted to give, right? So for that, let's click on our pipeline. So the moment you create a new parameter, it should show in your sync type, right? Because when you were, because it in dataset only at so you, when you open this dataset, right? In dataset only you add the parameter, right? That's why if you go to your dataset section, right? You should see this file name. Now what's the file name, right? It should be item dot. Let me confirm it's a table name only or something else we have. Dot. Okay, it should be this one. I will explain these things to guys. Just to save some time, I just copy this thing. So item dot table. So I use this item dot table name, right? But if I just use item dot table name, it won't have any extension and all, right? I want, so there is some function. If you go over here, parameters, right? And functions. So I think it should be in function section. So if you click on a function section, you have concat, right? right? You have this concat function, right? In concat function, what you are trying to concat your item dot table name, right? For each item, that is underscore table name, and you wanted to concat these things with whatever dynamic name you are getting. I will just click on connect, okay, right? Then rest of the things I will just keep as it is. It's for some advanced section copy behavior, how we wanted to copy data, concurrent connection unit, all these things, right? So, and if you have some requirement of max row and all these things, so those you can ignore. So if you see the file extension, right, it show you if you are using dynamic file approach, file extension should be disabled if you are using dynamic file approach. So currently I'm using dynamic file name approach. That's why specifically I give this CSV as a suffix over here. Okay. Now guys, let me try to run this. I think this should be enough. Let me SQL dataset, right? In files, currently we don't have anything. Let me run these things for you. So first of all, what's it doing? It do lookup. It will do lookup and it will run that particular query, right? Information schema table. It will get all the table name, and right. And for each table name, it's doing now copy data activity. Okay, it show the succeed. Let's see this data first. Basically output first. Okay. So from the lookup activity, I got this table name, right? Table name. Why I got this table name? Because in query itself, I give me as a table underscore name as a table name, right? Right. Then for each, how many table name I got? I just got two table name, but it's like imagine guys, like if you have let's say 100 of table, you can completely do with the same query, and you can load all the data this 100 table with some condition and all. Copy data, right? So it shows some data return, right? And it shows some data return. Now, guys, let go to the our destination here. You should see these files. Now let me open these files because we give the filter that I just need the data for 2025. Let's see if that works, or even not need to copy it over here. I can just show you from the console itself. I click on edit. You see the product, right? I have 2025 and 2025 data. If I just query my product table, so you see I have some data for 2024 and 2024 that I not load. I just load the data for 2025. That's what you are seeing over here, right? 25 and 25. Similarly, here 25, right? And here also. Similarly, if you go to the cells, edit, here also you see I just loaded data for 2025. If I go to my SQL database, cells, I have data for 2024, right? Which I excluded from my transaction. So guys, in my case, I just did this in year wise. But let's say if you are the use case of daily wise, right? You just wanted to load today's data only. So that's also completely possible. You just need a right data set for your case, and what you will be doing, in your query part, right? So rest of the things would be same in your query part when you are copying your data. Instead of year, you will use the day basically function, right? And you write this query in a such a way, so only this part would change, guys. So based on your query, you wanted to just get data for today's date, right? And wanted to process all this data from that particular table name into sync site. So that would be the only change, guys. Now let me rename this as something SQL incremental data ingestion, right? Let me publish. Make sure that whenever you are creating any pipeline, you need to publish that so that you can your whatever the changes you are making, it won't lose. Right. So now, guys, we cover these three pipelines, right? I also have one more thing to show. Any question, you guys, before I further move?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me quickly. If I also wanted to show you some S3 and all. Let's create that thing as well. Now, what the another use case I will be trying, I will be loading. uh, are you guys comfortable doing now, or you want me to do that tomorrow, or you think that because
We can do this tomorrow, I think. Lots of things we can learn.
right, yeah, because
Yes.
I just wanted to overburden the things, right? Let
Yes.
summarize the things, otherwise it would be too much things for today's only, right? So see, just to consolidate all the things that we talk, right? In when it's go to the in actual use cases, right? When you work on industry, right? You have always use cases to load incremental data. Now, incremental data could be anywhere. It could be in a storage account. It could be in database, right? With the help of ADF pipeline, you will be processing that incremental data. So you will be, there are multiple activity, right? We use almost low code based approach. We write some simple SQL and all these things, right? It's we can say it is a low code based approach, right? We connect to the different sources. We take the data that what we need, right? And we load the data into our processing layer, right? And then what happen once you got this process data, right? Let's say today data, then your rest of the team will do further analysis on top of this data, right? You can have your AIML thing or your further data engineering, right, team. You will process, they will process that today's data only, and they wanted to generate some insight out of it. So that's how things generally happen in industry, right? And incremental data is not only from SQL data or storage account, right? It can be even API as well. So let's say I'm hitting some API, right? So how to get incremental data from API? I need to pass some parameter, right? So that should be a contract between API provider and API subscriber. When I'm giving date for today's, when I'm calling that particular API for today's date, it should give me this today's data, and the same data I will be loading with the help of a REST based thing, right? In ADF, if you know, in earlier session, I created a REST activity. So with the help of REST activity, you just need to pass that particular date as the input parameter to the REST API, and it should show you, it should give you all data for a specific date, and that data you can load into the processing layer. So that's how from multiple sources you will load for today's date data into your pre-processing layer, right? And then further you can process data from there, right? So S3 bucket creation. So in tomorrow's session, will go more detail of S3 bucket creation, right? What S3 mean for its basically usage, right? And why it's highly available and all these things I will show you some in presentation. We'll create some buckets, right? And the cross connectivity between, let's say, different cloud. You have data in different cloud and you wanted to move that data from one location to another location, how to do that, right? And there are other couple of things as well, right? I will maybe go this thing in tomorrow section. Notebook dependency, right? okay, we are running this for idea pipeline, but let's say there are some cases that you have to write some PySpark based code, right? And you have multiple notebook, one notebook depend on another output. You wanted to pass output of one. So let's say in this case now, the way I have written these things, right? The output of previous activity, lookup activity, I am passing to the for each loop, right? But what, how to do those things in notebook? Let's say you have write some complex uh, PySpark thing, right? How to make dependency between notebook and how to generate insight from that, we will cover in tomorrow's session, guys. Yeah, that's I think I have to cover for today, guys. I will, because if I will start other thing, maybe it would be, I think, too much for today's date. And you can maybe grasp these things. If any question is, ping me, guys, or even you can even ask me now.
Sir, the please share the recordings for the session, please.
Sure, yeah. Post this call. Once Zoom recorded, I will ping you in our WhatsApp group.
You created the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, it's there, right?
Actually, I am not in that.
Can you ping your number? I added everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can just WhatsApp me. I will add to you as well. Any question, guys? It's a Rishikesh, right? I was talking with who said that he's not there. Yeah, okay. I will just check and I will.
Can I ping you in this chat?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Fine, guys. I think you guys, do you guys have any question? Anyone else? Not only respect to what we talk, even maybe some industry specific thing that you wanted to know. If not now, we can maybe cover in upcoming section then.
Okay, sir. Sure.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day, and we'll see you tomorrow. We have some few new things to. I will explain you those things as well, right?
I
Okay then.
pinged
Thank you.
you.
Thank you
I
so much,
pinged you.
sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thanks.